Hi, my name is Matthew Duro, chef de cuisine here at CHESTNUT restaurant in downtown Asheville, North Carolina. And today I want to show you guys how to make a raviolo. You might be wondering what the difference is between a raviolo and a ravioli. There's not really much difference. A raviolo is just one single ravioli. It's a little bit larger. It's currently on our menu right now, so let's get started. We're going to start out with our fresh pasta dough. We make it in-house. Consists of semolina flour, all-purpose flour, whole eggs, salt, a little bit of olive oil, and water just to get it to the right consistency. So traditionally, when you're making fresh pasta, you would have your ball of all of your dry mix. Make a well in the center, throw in your egg, your olive oil, and your water, and just slowly start incorporating that with a fork. But we do it a much quicker way because we go through a lot of pasta here. So we basically just put it in a KitchenAid with a dough hook, and pretty much put all the ingredients together, and you just want it to end up being nice and elasticy so it'll stretch. The biggest thing is just letting it work continuously until all the water hydrates those semolina flour molecules. So yeah, let's get started. We have a really nice electronic pasta roller. So we're going to start on the largest setting and slowly start working our way a little bit thinner. And I like to alternate which side goes in first, just so it ends up a lot more even. So we're about to stop here, and I'm going to show you a really cool trick Joe Scully actually taught me a couple years ago. And there's no better way to roll pasta than this. So touch it with a little bit of egg wash just on one end. We're going to fold that right back into our roller. What it's going to do is just going to make a continuous loop and combine just like that. So always use the back of your hands when rolling pasta. It's very delicate, and especially if it's fresh, it might tear if you put your fingers into it like this. So always use the back of your hands. And just be gentle with it. You don't have to stretch much. Just let the pasta roller do its thing. And start working our way back down. To help it stretch, you put a little bit of semolina on the inside. So this is really where you want to be with the pasta. Like I said, if you don't let it hydrate enough as you're working it initially, it's gonna tear at this point. But see, it's nice and elastic. It's stretching really nicely. Exactly what we want. So we're going to take this down to about just under 1/8 of an inch thickness total. That'll give us a nice bite for sure once the raviolos are done. All right, that's right where we want it. Stretch it out a little bit. Cut it off right here. This out of the way. All right, so from here, you want your work surface to be liberally dusted with semolina flour so it won't stick. Make sure it's nice and flat and even all across. Do the same with this one. All right, so let's talk about our mise en place. What are we filling this thing with? So we have whipped lemon ricotta, a little bit of braised pork cheeks. So we braise these in-house. Mirepoix, so onions, carrots, celery, a lot of tomato. We basically just throw that in the oven, really, really low temperature for hours and hours until those pork cheeks are just, fall apart tender. Then we have some beautiful quail eggs from Plantation Farms over in somewhere in Georgia. I want to say Greenville. All right, so we're going to start with about a 1 ounce scoop of our ricotta. I'm going to space these far enough apart to where They're not going to overlap as we're cutting it, so that should be just about perfect. All right, then we're going to take our pork cheek, about a 2-ounce portion. What I'm going to do is form that into a nice cylinder. I'm going to poke a hole right in the center for our quail egg to nestle in. All right, we're going to take our quail eggs, crack one into each. All right, so we've got our filling ready to go. So we're just going to put a little bit of egg wash down on our pasta sheet so that it'll stick together in the end. Just gonna do little rings around each raviolo. You don't need too much egg wash, otherwise the bottom might stick. Just enough to coat. That should be good. All right, now we're gonna take this top sheet, just lay it right over very carefully because you don't want your quail egg to fall off. Making sure there's enough room to kind of tuck each raviolo in. And I like to just go ahead and cup each one, try to get as much air out as possible, because once you go to blanch it in a salted water, it'll bust. All right, so trick I learned in culinary school is to, whenever you're making raviolis by hand, you want to take just a smaller version of a ring cutter than what you're actually cutting it out to. Take the back end of it and just press firmly, just enough to seal it so it doesn't cut through. You want your ravioli to be a little bit bigger. It's a much quicker, much more uniform process. All right, we're going to take our cutter. As far as cooking, what I would recommend is get a boiling pot of water going, heavily salted. You're basically just going to cook it until the ravioli starts to float. It's going to take about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. And what we do in the restaurant is we have a nice hot saute pan ready to go. Flip it in there, just get a nice sear on the top, and it turns out great. You might be wondering what you can do with the rest of this excess pasta. You can literally just ball it up, just work it again, and run it right back through the pasta machine, so there's absolutely no waste. This may seem like a really technical process, but I promise you it's actually really, really easy as long as you have your dough down. If you can find a really good pasta dough recipe, you'll have no problems.